What's going on, Airsofters? ODA here. My name is Matt, and today we're going to be doing a gun review of the KWA Kriss Vector. Starting at the rear of the gun, we have a full polymer stock that is adjustable for length using those two screws right there that can be adjusted with an Allen key, and the stock actually folds and locks into place on the right side. The Kriss Vector actually comes with removable rear and front sights that are able to be folded up and down. Both sights are actually adjustable for a windage, but not elevation. It is also worth noting that the rear sight is adjustable for aperture, just like the rear sight on an M4. The Vector's body is actually made up of polymer and features two fire selectors, one that controls safe and fire, while the other one controls semi, 2-round burst, and fully automatic. The gun does actually feature a charging handle function to load the BB, a bolt lock, and a bolt release. And on the lower portion of the receiver there, you will notice the magazine release. Since this gun is somewhat ambidextrous, you will notice that it has fire selectors on the right side as well as the left side. However, it does not contain a magazine release or a bolt lock on the right side. The hop-up can be adjusted with the tool inside the ejection port, and it also includes a rail on the right side of a gun that can be switched over to the left side of the gun if you so desire. On the bottom of the pistol grip, there is actually a hidden storage compartment that's used for storing miscellaneous items. However, the little latch that opens it broke off when I tried to use it, and I had to super glue it back on. It's also worth noting that this gun comes with a magazine, foregrip, and hop-up adjustment tool. Field stripping the Kriss Vector is brutally simple. First, locate your 4 takedown pins and push them through as far as you can with your finger. However, when you first get the gun, some of the pins may be a little stiff. If this is the case, simply find some sort of narrow tool to help you push the pins through all the way to the other side. In this case, I am just using a little pocket knife. However, I did find that after using the gun quite a bit, the pins did begin to loosen up, and after a while, I didn't even need to use a tool to get the pins out. Now, once you've pushed the pins through as far as you can on the right side, simply flip the gun over and pull the pins out. Like I said before, some of the pins may be a little stiff, so again, I'm just going to use my pocket knife to help me pull this one pin out that's being a little stubborn. But for the most part, the rest of the pins are really simple to get out, and I can just use my hand to get the pins out. Once all the pins have been removed, simply remove the upper receiver from the lower receiver by just pulling them apart. And when they are separated, they should look just like that. The easiest way I found to do this was to simply pull the upper receiver backwards while simultaneously pulling the lower receiver forward. Finally, we're going to remove our moving parts assembly by pulling down on that black plate on the bottom of the lower receiver. And that is pretty much it. You have now disassembled your Kriss Vector into its 3 major components for field stripping. Alright, so now we'll be moving on to the accuracy test, and to do that, I've set up the Vector in a way that you probably won't see very often. On the top, I put a scope so I can see the target more efficiently, and on the bottom I've put a bipod to maximize my stability. And the idea here is to eliminate as much shooter error as possible and just test the gun's base accuracy. So, without further ado, let's get started. The accuracy test was conducted with Elite Force .20 gram BBs on propane from a distance of 30 feet. Now, these 2 shots down here are just test shots. They do not actually count. The first shot ended up right around the 6 circle, which isn't too bad, but the other 4 shots did really well, and they ended up around the 9 and 8 circles, which is actually really impressive considering the fact that this is a submachine gun. Now, I'm going to pull out the ruler here and show you that the grouping between the shot at the 6 circle and the shot at the 9 circle is actually only 1 inch, so that is actually really good. The Chronograph test was conducted with Elite Force .20 gram BBs with propane, and it shot at around 385 feet per second. Alright, so lastly, it is now time to give my final thoughts on the KWA Kriss Vector. Let's start with the pros first. First thing on my list is the quality of the parts. I mean, when KWA went into making this gun, they obviously did not mess around in terms of part quality. Especially with this stock and all the polymer parts, because I was kind of afraid my first shot. I was kind of like,
polymer stock, it's probably going to bend a little bit, it might be a little creaky because generally I like to see a little metal in there just to help reinforce it, but quite honestly, you can't bend this thing. The polymer on this is absolutely amazing. The metal parts are extremely high quality, and that's something very important if you're going to be using a gun a lot, and if you bang it against something, if you don't have to worry about it breaking or getting bent in any sort of way. So good job KWA for making a very solid gun. The next pro on my list is the accuracy of the gun. In my experience, the accuracy is actually comparable to that of an M4, which has an intramural length of about 365 millimeters. And also some of the accuracy can be contributed to the bucking, maybe how it's designed, stuff like that. But Kriss Vector, just about as accurate as some of the M4s I have on my shelf. And keep in mind, barrel of this thing is only about yay long, so for it to be this accurate for a submachine gun is absolutely amazing. My third and final pro on the list is the ease of use of this gun and all the features that it has on it. First of all, it has that ambidextrous fire selector that's going to be great for you lefties out there. It's got that 2-round burst, which isn't something you see very often nowadays. Maybe you'll see 2-round burst in some submachine guns, but very seldom do I actually see a 2-round burst feature, so that's pretty awesome. It's got a functioning bolt lock, bolt release. God, it's just amazing overall. The sound of it sounds really nice. I love the fact that KWA put that extra step in there to make the gun recoil like the real steel version, where it recoils back and down, kind of like that. It actually does that when you pull the charging handle back. You can actually see it kind of dips down, kind of like that, which is actually insane because keep in mind that that's what the real steel version does, and this is just an airsoft gun, so the engineering put behind that must have been insane to make that feature possible. So gotta give KWA props for that, because that's just an amazing feature. And overall, that's about it. I mean, the gun's just insanely easy to use, it's lightweight, and what can I say, it's just an amazing little compact package overall. Alright, so now for the cons, and let me be honest, before I start this, there were very few, but there were a couple, so I'll just go over those really quickly. First things first is the problem I'm having with the magazines, and that is that since I play a lot of outdoor games, there's a lot of sand and dirt everywhere, and when I have these stored away in my mag pouches or in the gun itself, I'll show you. When you put the magazine in the gun, you can actually see that it kind of leaves that little canal right there, and that has potential for dirt to get in there, which is not something that's very healthy for the gun. And it's a problem because if you get a little sand in there, it actually has a tendency to lock up right around those feed loops right there. The BBs will go up and they'll just get stuck right there because of some sort of dirt that got in there. And keep in mind, you always want to keep your magazines clean, but I did find when I was out there in the middle of the game that if some sand got in there, it would actually have potential to lock up, especially because when you have that canal, starts right there. If some sand got right in around there, the gun would start locking up right when the BBs got to that point up into the chamber. So, just a little con for that. And also, the one other thing I did have was, it's actually not a problem so much as an annoyance, is the fact that it does wobble a little bit in the mag well, if you can hear that. It doesn't actually affect the overall performance of the gun or how accurate it is or anything like that. It's just a little annoyance when you're running around. You can kind of hear it wobbling a little bit. So just two little cons I have on the magazine. And for my final con on the list, we have this tiny little storage compartment down here. Now, regrettably, when I tried to open it, it did crack off and break, and I had to super glue it back on in order for it to, stay in place. And I'm pretty sure this is a problem that's only specific to my gun. I don't think everyone else is having a problem with this, but at the same time I really wish it didn't break because I was planning to store some gum in there, maybe some CR123A batteries, for some of my flashlights I have. But, other than that, it's a really fantastic gun. It gets my seal of approval, and I'd give it a good solid 9.5 out of 10 because of just, that slight annoyance from that wobble in the magazine and the fact that that broke. But other than that, it's a great little package. Awesome job, KWA, for making such an amazing gun. Alright guys, that's going to about wrap it up for our gun review on the KWA Kriss Vector. If you enjoyed, be sure to click that like button down below. And if you got any comments or questions regarding the video, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I will get back to them as soon as I can. So, thank you for watching.